It was a quiet morning when the first signs of unease began to stir. Standing by the window, Sarah watched her husband, Mark, load his briefcase into the car. "I'm heading out. Don't do anything you'll regret," Mark said sharply, his tone more commanding than reassuring. Without waiting for a reply, he slammed the car door and drove away, leaving a palpable tension lingering in the air. Sarah exhaled slowly, her shoulders sagging as the oppressive silence enveloped the house. For a brief moment, she felt relief knowing Mark would be away for the next 3 days on a business trip. Turning towards the kitchen to start breakfast, her thoughts were interrupted by a tug at the hem of her sweater. Startled, she looked down to find her stepdaughter, Emma, clutching a phone tightly in her small hands. "Mom," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "I need to show you something." Sarah knelt down, gently taking the phone from Emma's hands. The screen illuminated with a picture that sent a chill racing down her spine. It was an image of Mark, but he wasn't alone. The woman beside him wasn't anyone Sarah recognized, and their intimate pose left no room for misinterpretation. "Where did you get this?" Sarah asked, her voice barely steady. Emma hesitated, her eyes brimming with tears. "It was in Dad's old phone. He said I could use it for games, but I found this." Sarah's mind raced. Her husband had always been secretive, but this was something else entirely. "It's okay, Emma. You did the right thing showing me," she assured, pulling the girl into a comforting embrace. But as she held her stepdaughter close, Sarah's resolve hardened. Whatever Mark was hiding, she needed to uncover the truth, for both their sakes. The rest of the day passed in a haze of anxiety and quiet determination. After dropping Emma at school, Sarah sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel tightly. A sense of betrayal gnawed at her, but anger gave her focus. She scoured the contents of the phone, uncovering more photos, cryptic messages, and even a video dated just a week ago. Each discovery felt like another dagger to her heart, but it also fueled her determination to confront Mark. When Mark returned late that Friday evening, Sarah was waiting in the living room. "We need to talk," she said firmly as he walked in. Mark's eyes flicked to her, then to the phone lying on the coffee table. "What's this about?" he asked, his voice feigning innocence but laced with an edge of defensiveness. "You tell me," Sarah countered, crossing her arms. "I found these." "Care to explain?" Mark's face darkened as he snatched the phone, scrolling through the incriminating evidence. "You had no right to go through my things," he snapped, his voice rising. "And you had no right to lie to me or involve Emma in your secrets." Sarah shot back, her voice unwavering. For a moment, Mark looked stunned. Then his expression twisted into anger. "What I do is none of your business," he growled, stepping closer, his posture threatening. "You've crossed a line." Sarah stood her ground, her fear masked by a newfound strength. "No, Mark. You crossed the line when you brought lies and deceit into this family. Emma deserves better, and so do I." The confrontation escalated, words cutting deep and truths unraveling painfully. By the end of the night, Sarah had made a decision. She would not let Mark's actions define her or her stepdaughter's future. With the support of her family and legal counsel, Sarah filed for divorce, determined to protect Emma from further harm. Days turned into weeks as Sarah navigated the aftermath. Mark's attempts to intimidate her only solidified her resolve. The court proceedings were grueling, but in the end, justice prevailed. Sarah gained full custody of Emma, and Mark's deceptions were laid bare for all to see. With Mark out of their lives, Sarah and Emma began to rebuild. The laughter that once seemed lost slowly returned, and for the first time in a long while, their home felt like a sanctuary. As Sarah tucked Emma into bed one evening, she whispered, "We're safe now." Emma smiled softly, her small hand clutching Sarah's. "Thank you, Mom." In that moment, Sarah knew they had weathered the storm and emerged stronger. Together, they would forge a new beginning, one built on love, trust, and unshakable resilience. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah started noticing small changes in Emma. The little girl who once apologized for everything, even things beyond her control, was beginning to regain her confidence. Each day brought a new challenge, but Sarah was determined to provide a stable and loving environment for Emma. One afternoon, while organizing the garage, Sarah stumbled upon a box of Mark's old belongings. She debated whether to open it, knowing it might stir unwanted memories. Curiosity won, and as she lifted the lid, a cascade of items spilled out. Among the papers and trinkets, she found a journal. Flipping through its pages, Sarah discovered notes and letters that revealed a side of Mark she hadn't known. It wasn't remorse she found, but cold calculations, plans to manipulate, control, and maintain a facade. The depth of his deceit was staggering. Sarah's hands trembled as she held the journal. Part of her wanted to burn it, to rid herself of the last remnants of Mark's influence. But another part saw it as a reminder of why she fought so hard to protect Emma. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about ensuring that Emma never felt the weight of such toxic behavior again. Meanwhile, Emma's transformation continued. She started participating more at school, joining activities that once intimidated her. Her teachers noticed the change, praising her newfound enthusiasm and resilience. Sarah couldn't have been prouder. Each small victory felt like a triumph over the shadows Mark had cast on their lives. As Sarah and Emma settled into their new routine, a knock on the door one evening brought an unexpected visitor. It was Laura, one of Mark's former colleagues. She looked hesitant, clutching a folder tightly against her chest. I need to talk to you," Laura said, her voice wavering. Sarah invited her in, unsure of what to expect. Over tea, Laura revealed a shocking truth. Mark's infidelity and manipulative behavior weren't confined to his personal life. They extended into his professional sphere. He had been under investigation at work for unethical practices, and Laura had evidence to prove it. The folder she carried contained documents, emails, and testimonies that painted a damning picture. "I thought you should know," Laura said, sliding the folder across the table. "You deserve to see the full extent of what he's done." Sarah felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a strange sense of validation. Mark's downfall was inevitable, but knowing the extent of his actions added a new layer of complexity to her feelings. She thanked Laura for her bravery and promised to use the information wisely. That night, as Sarah reviewed the contents of the folder, she realized the importance of sharing this knowledge with her legal team. The evidence not only strengthened her case, but also ensured that Mark's influence would be limited in their lives. It was a small but significant step toward closure. In the months that followed, Sarah focused on rebuilding not just her life, but Emma's as well. They took trips to the park, baked cookies on rainy afternoons, and even started a small garden in the backyard. Each moment felt like a step toward healing, a reminder that they were creating a life free from fear and manipulation. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Emma turned to Sarah and said, "Mom, I'm glad it's just us now. I feel safe with you." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she pulled Emma into a hug. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Life wasn't perfect, but it was theirs to shape. And together, they were determined to make it beautiful.